I only put 2 ice cubes in, but I kind of wish I'd put 3 in now.
Go get another one.
I'm too tired now.
You're too tired. You're locked in, huh?
I'm locked in. I'm in it to win it at this point. Although I think there's a bag of plain chips calling my name. Doesn't that sound good?
That sounds really good.
Do you remember how much we used to eat when we were in Phoenix? But we had a great time while doing it, so.
Absolutely love
I really
Phoenix.
don't feel that guilty. Like, I don't want date nights here in Hobbs. Like, I'm like, save our money. We get to Phoenix. We'll go on all the date nights.
There you go. There you go.
We'll take Caroline to Keith and Maggie and
Mm-hmm.
be like, bye, we're going on date night.
Peace out.
Mm-hmm.
Peace out. How's your mic doing over there?
It seems fine. You sound good?
You sound good too. Now we have the same headphones. It makes a big difference.
Oh.
Yeah. So you sound exactly the way that I sound now.
You fancy, huh?
That's right. We're official.
We are
We're
real.
official. I tried going cheap.
Same mics.
Same mics.
headphones.
It's all coming together.
Wow.
Finally. Yeah. So,
Did you see that post?
which post?
Someone posted or tagged us in a post saying that they listened to our podcast while traveling somewhere.
Awesome.
They couldn't wait for the next one.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. As a matter of fact, I started a new YouTube channel today.
Yeah, I knew that.
You knew that. How'd you know
you
that?
told me that this morning or
Did I?
yesterday.
I forgot what I told you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just a creative space where I could share the podcast and just whatever fun thing that I want
Your
to put.
music and landscape scenery.
yeah,
like that.
yeah, a place that I can do whatever I want and not really affect the YouTube algorithms, which have been absolutely finicky lately.
Right.
So, I mean, our viewership went down, our views went down 15%, our revenue went down 50%.
Holy, what? That doesn't even add up.
I know, but that's YouTube for you. That's why we have multiple income streams, because YouTube is just, you can't rely
So
on it.
unpredictable.
Oh, it's crazy right now. I got to take this hoodie off. I thought it was.
You put it on.
I thought it
And
was
now all
going
of
to
a
be.
sudden you're like pulling up your sweatpants, pulling up your sleeves. Like you're
Yeah,
obviously getting like hot and bothered or
Yeah,
something.
there's campfire over here.
I guess while you're waiting, I'll just take a sip of my drink.
You should. Oh, yeah. It's a little. That's how you drink. That's what won me over right there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't even drinking alcohol when we met.
Who said you're drinking alcohol?
Well, I think it's kind of understood that let me take a sip of my drink does not mean water.
Oh, it could be. Trying to stay hydrated and stuff.
I mean, we did talk about beer in our latest episode, so.
That's true. That's true. And that is, it could be the negative side effect of having a podcast, because people they build up their idea who they think you are. And then when they get to hear the full story and realize you're real people, some people decide, hey, peace out. You're not the icon I
That
thought
just
you
makes
were.
them like us more.
I would like to think so. And that's really the people that we want to stick around anyhow, right?
I mean, like, that's how it is when I listen to podcasts. It
Mhm.
just makes me like them more. Like the Office ladies. Dadgummit. I was listening to their latest, or not the latest, but the episode on the fire.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Oh, the fire guy.
Ryan started the fire episode. And they had me laughing in the groceries at Walmart.
Uh-huh.
Like, I didn't even care. I was laughing out loud.
Oh, gosh. That's
so
awesome.
it's just one of those things where like
You're
Angela,
just this weird girl walking around Walmart with earbuds.
oh, teetotally.
Yeah.
Like teetotally laughing out loud. Like Angela was getting wiffle ball confused and calling it woofle ball. Right?
Oh, that's
we had this whole
hilarious.
discussion about it. So
Oh,
it was
that's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Anyhow, welcome, travelers, overlanders, weekend warriors, and daily commuters to Campfire Confessions. We are your hosts, Kevin
And Sarah.
McHouston of Lifestyle Overland, a husband and wife duo who travels North America and the world with our daughter Caroline. This podcast, or Fireside Chat, is about us, our travels, our stories, and lessons learned while living a lifestyle a bit outside the ordinary. So, go ahead, pull up a camp chair or a log or a very large rock around this fire ring here, and we're going to get this thing stoked up for just a bit of warmth and ambiance. Oh, look at that. The smoke's going straight up tonight. No watery eyes, no smoky clothes in the tent, which, yeah, perfect. I want to take a moment to thank the sponsors of this show. That's right. These are the folks who keep the wind in our sails, our patrons. These fine folks are listeners, subscribers, and followers like yourself who keep the fuel coming and the adventure rolling. So thank you all who contribute to this adventure.
That was so good.
Did you like that?
I loved it.
I just, that's been on my mind. And
I was like thoroughly entertained the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, if I entertained you with our intro, just wait till we get into this.
That's right.
You know, I've hardly gotten to speak with you in like the past, month and a half?
To say, yeah, probably the last 4 weeks.
Oh my goodness. So since the last podcast we put out, we've kind of...
Oh, that was the beginning of December.
Yeah, we've traveled
It
the
was
world
finals,
since then. Mm-hmm.
getting ready for Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah.
And Christmas.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. So I'm going to start at where we're at currently and walk our way backwards, and then we'll get into the actual topic for the show.
Okay.
So I just got back from Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
I went over there for what was supposed to be just 3 days.
Turned into
And
12 days?
It was a little over a week, I think. But
9 days.
Actually, before that, I went to Albuquerque.
Yes, right.
Yeah, so
I guess I was counting that.
Yeah, so we were up in Albuquerque getting our long-range automotive tank supplied by Long Range America.
Which is so awesome.
Got to work with Walt with tactical application vehicles up there and install that thing up in their shop, and just what a incredible experience. Those are just, every one of those guys in that shop is just salt of the earth. It was the best like shop vibe that I have felt in a long time. And by the end we were like, I don't know, it felt like best friends. I
remember you said that you walked in and you were like, babe, it was like this whole other like vibe. I liked it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Part of me, there was a small part of me that was like, if I wasn't YouTubing, I would
like, hey, Walt.
I wouldn't mind working on these big beautiful rigs right here. So yeah, it was really great. We'll do a whole podcast with Walt and his wife at some point just to kind of give their perspective on things. But again, just amazing people doing some amazing builds, and really excited to see where we go from here with them. But so yeah, then I headed over to Phoenix for a little meet and greet that we had over in, I think it was over in Gilbert. That's right, at Four Silos Brewery. Got to meet the owners. Super cool people. I'm going to take you there.
The food looked bomb.
Dude, that cinnamon.
You had a giant cinnamon roll.
Well, that's your weekness to start with.
It is.
Yeah.
Like when I was pregnant with Caroline, we had cinnamon rolls once a week.
Yeah.
Dedicated every Saturday or Sunday morning.
Oh, yeah. I remember. And so got to hang out with those guys, eat a cinnamon roll the size of my head.
Would you have gyros? Some kind of gyro sandwich too, right?
Yeah, that was for lunch later on. It wasn't for breakfast.
Right.
But no, I had this, I think cappuccino macchiato. Does that sound right? I just read words up on the board.
No, that's like two completely different drinks.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I'm not like a fancy coffee connoisseur.
Like a macchiato, like a cappuccino and a macchiato are two different like levels of beverage.
Okay. Well, anyhow, I asked for whatever that was up on the board. And the poor girl, she came out, and I asked for like a 16 ounce, and she hands it to me. And like I pick it up, and I'm like, oh, she's brought me a sample. Like this thing is like so light. And she's like, well, I made it the way that you're supposed to make it, which is like 3 shots and then like 6 ounces of foam or blah, blah, blah. And
oh, you got a real macchiato.
Yes. So apparently there's a real macchiato and a fake macchiato.
Yeah, there's a Starbucks macchiato and then the real macchiato.
Okay. So anyhow, I was like, is this just a sample? And she kind of looks at me funny and explains herself. And I just hand it back to her and I go, I'm going to need more of that.
Yeah. Can you fill that up, please? Yeah, because I did that once too at the airport. I went to Caribou Coffee instead of Starbucks. And I ordered a macchiato. And it was literally, I guess a traditional macchiato is like 2 shots of espresso and foam. I'm probably wrong. Someone's probably going to correct me. We'll Google that. We'll fact check that. And I remember being like, what is this? And she's like, oh, you have to ask for a macchiato latte.
Ah, okay. So I'm learning.
So, but at Starbucks, you get a macchiato, and it's their macchiato latte.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Starbucks has lied and messed with the system.
They have jacked with the system.
Okay. Well, now we're tracking.
Yeah.
All right. So I figured that out. But anyhow, just a great experience. Dropped the turtleback off with the guys at Turtleback. You know, we've got over, I think it's like 34,000 miles on our turtleback now. And they just recently came out with a new compound for the bushings. And so I was like, all right, guys, just go ahead and get the running gear back up to speed so we're ready to go for another 30,000 miles. Cool. Get a alignment on the suspension, because believe it or not, this trailer you can actually align. I mean,
isn't that awesome?
It's a pretty fancy little trailer here. So they're going to be fixing that up along with a couple of other little things, like removing the rotopack so we don't need anymore.
Woo!
Yeah, so I actually gave those to Austin. I was like, okay,
here, you're gonna need these.
Well, I kind of made a trade.
Oh.
So I was like, hey man, you want my rotopacks? And he's like, oh yeah. I was like, cool. I'm gonna need some MaxTrax mounts right here where these things go. So
can you make something for that?
Exactly. So I made a little bit of a trade because don't need rotopacks
and
anymore.
He's crafty, so he'll come up with something.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
He already had a plan. So yeah, just a few little maintenance items and add-ons and stuff like that to the trailer, because we're all headed back next week for the grand opening of their new facility.
Because I looked at the calendar, I'm like, oh, we got 2 weeks, and then today when we're walking, you're like, you realize we literally have to be there in a week.
Oh,
and I was like, no.
The whirlwind continues.
Yeah.
The whirlwind continues. So yeah, if you guys are going to be in the Phoenix area, January 25th. Come on over to the new Turtleback facility.
I can't wait to see it.
It's amazing.
I've only seen like snippets of pictures here and there, and I can't wait to see
it's freaking awesome.
It's going to be so fancy.
Like there's a showroom now. Wow. There's a clean assembly area. The old Turtleback place.
Are we going to do carne asada?
I think we should.
It's like
so traditional.
Yeah. I mean, I'll even go pick it up, man.
I don't know. I know we're going to have Four Silos coffee.
Send this little gringo over
Four
there.
Silos is getting like all kinds of plugs today, but yeah, it's good stuff.
But I need to go back to my little Mexican grocery store.
Oh, I am so bringing some carne asada back. I am so doing that.
Or even if they don't do it, we'll just tell Keith and Maggie that's what we're having for dinner.
Hey,
Saturday
there you
night.
go. That and then the hot tub. Yeah. Which, by the way, while I was in Phoenix, that's where I stayed with our best friends, Keith and Maggie Kessler. These guys have been...
They're just salt of the earth.
They're better than salt of the earth. They like, if it wasn't for them, I don't know how we would have got off the ground back when we were prepping and assembling stuff. I mean, they just...
And what's so funny is like, I still remember meeting them for the first time.
Well, let's hear your story then.
I remember it was the Turtleback Christmas party of 2017, and they had just bought their trailer that year, right? Mm-hmm. And so I remember we had gotten to Turtleback at 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And we had cleaned and prepped, and we were there all day. We didn't go home. We took change of clothes to change there, right? We never went home.
Oh, yeah.
It was the end of the day. I had reached my limits. I was done. I was getting social anxiety. I was ready for the end of the day. It was probably 8:30, 9 p.m. But I remember this curly-haired man coming up to me. This is Keith. And saying, hey, I really want you to be my wife. And I'm like, okay. And I have Caroline on my hip, who's literally having a meltdown because we've been there since 6 a.m.
Right.
And so Maggie comes over, and she is as cute as a button. And she was like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you. You know, she's like, I really want to drive some more, you know, and you really inspired me to start driving more. And we chit chat, and Caroline starts to fall apart. And so I was like, well, I'm sorry, I need to cut this short, but I need to go and parent now. And they're like, okay, you know, like being super sweet and everything. And then I remember you were like, hey, so these Turtleback trailer owners want us to come and stay at their house if we want to while we're getting ready to go full time. Mm-hmm. And this is, you know, probably January, February 2018. I think we had already done Mojave with them.
Yeah.
So like I kind of remembered them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I mean, I remember meeting them and they were nice. Sure, we'll stay with them. You know, I'm like, what do we have to lose?
Kind of random strangers, but you know, if you buy a Turtleback, you're kind of a herd member at that point. Yes. You're not too terribly crazy, I wouldn't think.
Yeah. And dang it, we lucked out.
Oh my gosh. They wined us and dined us and helped us. Keith helped me design the storage system and assemble it, and just
they just let us stay
awesome,
at their
awesome
house
people.
And,
So Keith and Maggie, if you're listening now, I hope you're just blushing from ear to ear at this point because you deserve it.
You're some of our favorite
Awesome people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyhow, had an amazing time there in Phoenix. Definitely working on some big things for 2020 as far as Lifestyle Overland is concerned. Yep. And we'll talk more about that as things progress. But it's been, like I said, it's been a whirlwind trip. We spent some time in Tennessee before that, hanging out with family, reconnecting with them for about a week and a half.
Yeah, we did Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
And
Caroline had a blast playing with all of her cousins.
Oh, man.
And yeah, it was just a great time. And then before that, and that's where we're headed with this podcast, we headed down to Costa Rica. Pura vida. I just have to say, like, that was the most, I keep saying the word whirlwind, and that it really was the whole process of getting that lined up, because Costa Rica wasn't on our radar. It wasn't on our bucket list.
Mm-mm.
Honestly, I was thinking about this earlier. If you'd asked me, hey, where is Costa Rica? I'm pretty good with, United States geography. Thank you, Geo Safari, and my homeschool bunker.
Uh-huh.
But if you'd asked me where Costa Rica was, I probably would have said it was an island. But turns out it's not.
Oh my gosh, I probably would have too.
Yeah, I kept wanting to say,
but I think I knew it wasn't.
Yeah. So I don't know, like, it wasn't on my radar. And then,
you know why you think Costa Rica is an island?
Please tell me.
Puerto Rico. Costa Rica. That's why I thought it, because Puerto Rico is an island.
Okay.
Enrico.
It's Rica.
Island. Costa Rica. Puerto Rico. See, that's where I went.
Maybe we just probably shouldn't talk about this anymore.
That's okay. Anyway, we didn't know where it was.
It sounds the same. Anyhow, yeah, it wasn't on the radar. And then we were camping with Caleb and Clarissa up in northern New Mexico, and they were telling the stories about when they had gone to Costa Rica and how incredible it was. And just a few weeks after that, Caleb calls me up and he goes, "Hey, I've got all these frequent flyer miles saved up. Do you guys want to go to Costa Rica with us?" And it was we
literally had 24 hours to decide.
Yeah, he's like, I'm fixing
48 hours,
something like that. He's like, I'm getting ready to buy tickets. Do you guys want to go? And it was just a matter of just a few hours. I got a hold of you, and we were processing all this.
Yeah,
free tickets to Costa Rica. Yeah, this doesn't come along very often, so why not?
Well, and it was one of those things where I was like, oh, we don't have time to do that before Christmas.
Right. Well, that was the thing, is it was the week before Christmas, actually.
Yeah.
And so we were looking at schedules and stuff, and it was going to be a bit of a crunch, but why not?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When was this going to happen again?
Right. So, I was wrapping up my consulting job, and just, life was so crazy. We didn't even research Costa Rica. We basically called Caleb and Clarissa back and said, we're in.
But you got to plan this trip.
And poor Caleb, we were all so excited, but Caleb was, texting me every 3 or 4 days because he was so fired up, being like, "Hey, look at this camp spot that I found, and oh man, we should go and find this waterfall." And I was zombified because I was working 18 hours a day, just surviving.
Right.
And there was no adrenaline left to be excited about.
Right.
At this point.
Even leading up to getting on the airplane.
Oh yeah, it is.
All I kept thinking is, what am I doing? What are we doing?
Right. So that, that's our perspective going into this. But thankfully, Caleb had done a lot of research, and before we went, I actually contacted Nomad America, which is a company that Caleb had used before in the past, and had rented a Defender and traveled around and had a great time. And so, I reached out to Fabio down there at Nomad America, and I said, "Hey, we've got this YouTube channel. I don't know, if you guys would be interested, but we'd love to come down, take a rig, show people how, you could do this international travel thing and still overland. Would you be interested in hooking us up with a rig?" And he was all about it. He said, we get all these Instagram people and stuff who come down here, and it's all great. And, they do have a pretty good reach, but we don't really get a heck of a lot of overland people. And so he was really excited to have us involved. And so We actually got the Defender for free.
Yeah.
So basically, we went to Costa Rica for the cost of our fuel and our food. And that's a write-off for us, too. So we kind of got this whole thing, sort of figured out now.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh, man, that whole process and just the chaos of getting ready. And I literally, you remember this, I spent probably 12 hours packing and unpacking and repacking. What camera gear do I carry?
Yeah.
I've always had a rig where I could just
put all of it
throw
in
it
there.
all in there. And literally, like our trip to the Arctic, I had twice as much camera gear as I needed.
Oh, right.
I mean, we had so much extra stuff.
You even bought something specifically for Costa Rica and never got it out.
Right. I mean, because I thought, travel light, travel fast kind of thing. And I'd never done this before. And so it was a whole new experience because I was used to my rig. I was used to our kit. I was used to all these things. And so I spent a lot of time packing and repacking and getting it just right. And pretty much did the job. Mm-hmm. Definitely took a few more lenses than what I actually needed.
Right.
But, if one had broken or anything like that, it would have been a good replacement at that point. But
sure.
But yeah, the whole process to just get packed up was pretty crazy. But as all this came together and I finally worked my way out of the clouds of all the busy schedule and work that I've been going through, I was like, this is very similar to what most people live on a daily basis. How can we make this type of travel super easy?
Right.
Or maybe
accessible.
Right. And maybe you don't even have an overland rig and you've been scratching your head going, I don't know if I really want to invest or get, that deep into it yet. Mm-hmm. I'd like to try something.
Right.
There are a handful of select rental companies out there that can do that for you in several different countries. And Nomad America just happens to be one of the prevalent ones in Costa Rica. And so it kind of spawned this whole deeper idea and mantra from this adventure is, you don't have to be a full-time world traveler to travel the world.
Right. We didn't have to ship a vehicle.
Right.
We didn't have to start this in November.
Right. We didn't have to go through multiple countries and borders and deal with the stress of that, which appeals to me. And I would someday want to do that.
Right.
But to be able to pop in to a relatively safe country and kind of skip all of the dangerous parts and just drop into this place that is really built around the tourism and stuff is a great opportunity, and it's a great business model. And so I was really excited to kind of show that whole process off.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
So I just got to ask, when I called you up and I was like, hey, we got free tickets to Costa Rica. Are you in? What was the first thing that went through your mind?
Well, I think the first thing that went through my mind was you told me what the dates were. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, no, that's too close to Christmas. We hadn't even talked about if we were going back to Tennessee to visit family for Christmas. We had made no plans. So initially my thought process was no. But that's because I tend to like to do things that make me feel comfortable, that make me...
Well, you're all about routine.
I'm all about
schedule.
Routine. Yes, and schedule.
12-month lead time of notification.
Yes.
Yeah. Granted,
when we chose to go full time, that was a 6-week process.
That's true. That's true.
So I don't know. I guess I thought I had more time. And you were like, we have 12 hours to get back to them.
Right.
And I'm like, can I have 24?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And literally I thought about it. And the only thing that kept me from saying no or from saying yes was convenience. Mm-hmm. My thought was the only reason I would want to say no is because of Christmas and leading up to Christmas.
Right.
But I don't need to do that. We put up our Christmas tree. We buy our presents on Amazon. Bada bing, bada boom.
Right. Sure.
Nothing about this needs to be hard.
Sure.
And so when push came to shove, it was just one of those things where it's why wouldn't we go?
Right.
No idea what's there.
Mm-hmm.
No idea where Costa Rica is. But our friends loved it.
Right.
And we like traveling with them. So, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and I think that that's also indicative of telling the story about how easy it was is the fact that we didn't really prepare.
No.
We didn't really do a lot of planning.
Mm-mm.
The guys at Nomad America were, they sent us GPX files with. Wow, did you hear that?
I did. Was that your tummy?
Yeah.
Or your voice?
Well, it was like one of those non-burps.
Like,
where it's just
throat?
like, we're going to equalize the system here.
Something.
Everybody just stand clear and you have no control over it.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's just indicative of how easy it is. We didn't really plan a heck of a lot. We didn't have to prepare a lot. We just kind of packed some basic necessities. Probably the only really extra thing that we took was the camera gear and some towels.
Yeah, we took a lot of towels.
We ended up with
we took like bath towels and beach towels.
Yeah, that was also partially necessary because of some of the gear that I packed. I wanted to
extra padding,
pad the tripods and stuff. So those weren't really necessary, but they came in handy.
Yeah, and we had nothing break or we didn't really have any issues with security or anything with all of our laptops and camera gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did a bit of research on that because that's always a fear when you're traveling across borders and stuff. Carrying a lot of valuables and the drone. It was kind of a toss-up on the drone. You read a lot of different stories, and so basically kind of went full bore and just took it all.
I mean, it's worth a shot, right?
Well, you think, how do you go to Costa Rica and not get some kind of drone footage?
Right.
So yeah, it was a good move. We didn't have any issues. Like the guy at customs in Costa Rica, he was like barely even looking at the screen when we came through customs. So it really wasn't a problem. So there's some of you that probably at this point are saying, I have no interest in traveling internationally. I have no interest in doing an overland trip in another country. And that's all fine and good. You can stop this podcast now if it doesn't interest you. But I do want to encourage you. It's those times when you push your comfort zone just a little bit that you find some of the most incredible experiences. And, especially south of the border travel, there's a lot of negative connotations that are conjured up in the American mindset just because of all the stories that we hear and the things that the news media talks about. But the thing about Costa Rica is it's probably one of the safest Central American countries, especially if, you're wise and you stay in the proper areas. And that goes just for America as well. I mean, you don't...
Right. If you're looking for trouble, you'll find it. Yeah,
you don't go certain places in Chicago. You don't go certain places in San Francisco. Like, there's just, you just have to be cognizant of your surroundings and be wise about where you let your guard down and set up camp. And so, Costa Rica, they're driven by tourism. So the vast majority of the people there are welcoming, far more so than Americans, I'd have to say.
Yeah, for
far
sure.
Far more so than Americans. They see over 3 million visitors a year come in and out of Costa Rica. And that's a country of 5 million people. So basically, their whole population comes almost in and out of the boundaries, or in and out of the borders every year. And so it's really become like the next Belize. Belize was always where all the Americans wanted to go and retire and hang out. And they're saying that Costa Rica is actually safer than Belize is now.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So, I did a bit of research. I did research that, obviously, before we really made the decision. But yeah, as far as Central American countries, Costa Rica is by far probably one of the safest in my opinion, from what I've seen and from conversations that I've had with other travelers and stuff as well. So
yeah.
Okay, so in the episode, it's pretty clear what our timeline was. So basically, we ended up with a week of travel, but what that meant was we only had about 4 nights of actual camping.
Right.
Because we flew in, we arrived late in San Jose.
Yep.
And our plane did not get to dock at a terminal.
Right.
We were shuttled off the steps and onto
onto the tarmac.
Onto like a cattle wagon was.
It's called a bus.
Oh, it was a bus. It was a bus. But yeah, shoulder to shoulder, front to back, we were stacked
Packed
in there for whatever reason. It doesn't look like that's the typical experience, but that was our welcome to Costa Rica
at 10:30 at night.
At 10:30 at night. And so we had wisely, like we thought about trying to find like, a real quaint hotel in San Jose that kind of had the charm. But we decided at the end of the day, hey, you know what? Find the closest name brand hotel
Right.
to the airport so that we have this level of comfort and security
Yeah.
as we come into this new experience. And so what hotel?
Holiday Inn Express.
Oh, we stayed at a Holiday Inn Express.
Yes. And I remember thinking, really? But I was okay with it.
Yeah, it was really nice. It's probably one of the nicest Holiday Inns
I feel like it was
in.
pretty new. Like, you know how they have like that new smell?
Yeah, well, like the mattress was still off-gassing.
Yeah.
But it was comfortable.
But that was fine.
It was still comfortable. And then, would you like to share with our listeners the first place that we had dinner?
No, it was lunch.
Was it?
Because we didn't go out to eat that night.
Oh, that's right.
We ate chips.
Yeah, because nothing was open.
Nothing was open.
Like,
and we
we didn't get to go through the terminal.
Nope.
So we didn't like to get anything in the airport. So it was like
chips and water.
Yeah. Oh, we should tell this too. So when we got off the airplane, and they're like funneling us, okay, this is where you need to go. This is where the shuttles show up. Mind you, it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and we reach ground level, and there's like what felt like 200 people standing outside with, signs for new arrivals and stuff. Like, this is a happening place.
When we got outside.
And it was like, all right, everybody link up. We're going through and
let's go find our bus to the airport.
Right. Bless their hearts. Like, there were so many taxi drivers there that were, hey, taxi, taxi, taxi. Like, they were definitely hawking their services to us.
Yeah.
But, I kind of kept my head down. I'm like, oh no, we've got to ride. And just kind of bulldoze through them. Well, we went to the area where the shuttles are supposed to show up. And obviously we have this look on our face of,
like, where are we?
Where are we? What's going on?
Where's our bus?
And this guy in plain clothes comes up and he's like, can I help you? And at first my inclination is just to kind of ignore him because I know, he's trying to get me on a taxi or something. I was like, well, we're just waiting.
Holiday Inn Express.
We're waiting for our shuttle. And so like he walks out in the street and he's like stopping cars and looking down the lane. He's like, oh yeah, your shuttle's coming. Like,
yeah.
And so he stuck around and made sure to like help us get our bags on the bus and stuff. And I didn't have any.
We didn't have any money yet.
Yeah, and obviously he was there for a tip. I didn't have any.
Colones.
I didn't have any colones at that point. I had cojones. I didn't have colones.
Oh my!
And so that it was a little bit awkward. Obviously, we're new and we didn't kind of know what the process was.
That can't be the first time it's happened to him, though.
Oh, I'm sure. I made sure to put my own bags on the bus. Like, he tried to take them from me. I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay you
to lift my bags 2 steps to put on the bus.
I got this. So anyhow, we got on the shuttle and made it to the hotel, and it was nice. But the next morning,
you made us get up early.
Yeah, we had to get up early and headed over to No Man America's little location there.
Yep.
And so they picked us up, and it was Andreas. Was the rep that picked us up at that point, and just
super friendly guy.
Oh my gosh! And we talked rigs incessantly. I mean, these are people who are passionate about.
He was excited,
and we were talking about the different rigs and stuff, as we were driving past them, and he was so jealous of our 5th gen 4Runners because apparently down there, just a base model 4Runner is like $60,000 American, and so like he was just super jealous of us showing our pictures of our rigs back home and stuff, and so it was really fun to get his perspective and talk to him about all the different things that Costa Rica had to offer. We got in there, we went and sat in front of the computer, and he showed us all these different ideas for travel,
like a nice little route to go for our 4 day.
Yeah, and like you saw in the video, I flat out asked him, like, what do you think about security? What are some things to keep in mind to be safe? And he basically was saying, you don't camp next to populated areas. You keep going, you get out and away from stuff, which is really kind of the same thing for here in the States
America,
as well.
Yeah,
you want to be several miles away from.
You don't camp in
centers.
the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, so that was a great experience. And why don't you talk a bit about the turnover? So, what were your first thoughts when Andreas started walking you through the box?
The box.
The only box.
In the back of the vehicle.
And here we are used to like...
Well, that was kind of I feel like our number one question for these last 3 videos is, did you miss the turtleback?
Did you miss, and all the stuff that goes with it?
Right. And yes, I missed the turtleback. But no, the only thing I really, really missed was the 42 gallons of water.
Yeah, we were hurting on water for sure.
That really hurt.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was a fun experience getting to do single vehicle because yes, we did that at the very beginning of our time,
Right.
but we took so much stuff we didn't really need. And now getting literally down to a plastic tote that had basically all of your kitchen things in it. That was it. Like we had a pillow for each of us,
Right.
a blanket for each of us, and that was it. And I was like, Kevin, should we go buy like sheets? Should we go buy this and that? And you were like, nope, this is what we're going to do.
We'll just wrap up in the blanket and go.
I'm like, okay, here we go.
Well, and the whole thing was like, you can do anything for a week.
Right.
And we knew we only had technically really 4 nights.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that big of a stretch.
No.
But yeah, I mean, you look at the back of that Defender.
And it looks tiny.
We literally brought more stuff with us
than what was back there.
Than what was already in there.
Yes.
And you know what? Were you missing anything?
No, except for water.
Yeah. So what was in the kitchen kit?
So in the kitchen kit was a little Coleman stove. Then they had little propane tanks. They had your pots and pans, your cutlery, your dishes, and a bunch of flashlights.
Yeah, I think that
they did not want you to be afraid of the dark.
Yeah, it was a double dose of flashlights there. That was kind of funny.
It was really funny. Like I was like, wow, okay.
Well, I guess people were probably buying them and then leaving them behind,
probably.
And so they just kind of kept
them in there.
Yeah.
But that literally, I'm pretty sure that was it.
It was so basic. And I mean, a few days in, I was scratching my head on, oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, really? This is all we've needed?
Now, I will caveat that and say that if we were living out of that full time, it would have been a little bit different story. Don't you think?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
What about the water deal?
See, that's the biggest thing. If they had just had like even a 12 to 15 gallon water tank underneath.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That would have made a big difference.
Yeah, that tube
up
top. But
that tube up top is like what? Maybe 6 gallons of water?
Maybe. And it leaked. So we only had just a couple gallons.
Yes.
Because I didn't seal the vent off. And so it was spewing some water out as we were driving. But it was a good reminder, I think, about what you really need.
Yeah.
You know, we have those conversations that, the word, you have a hard time using the word need when it comes to doing what we do.
Right.
You know, a lot of the stuff that we take, maybe even 70% of the stuff that we take is all about additional comfort and convenience just to make the experience even nicer. But yeah, you don't need all those things.
Right.
So that was a very good exercise.
It was very eye-opening for sure.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Realizing that I was like, maybe we could have done it like this and just stopped and done laundry once a week rather than every 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
Right.
So on the water note, I also want to mention, like, we took a crap ton of shower pouches with us.
Right.
If it wasn't for those shower pouches, it would have been a stinky, sweaty, sticky mess because we didn't take a single shower while we were out rolling.
No.
But every night I would grab one of those shower pouches and just wipe down. And the nice part was it was still warm. I mean, the peak season for Costa Rica to have the coolest temperature starts in like early December through like March. That's where most people actually go down there. But it was still fairly warm. And in some places we were talking about, 90s in the day and
down by the beach.
Kind of high 70s at night. So you were looking for something to kind of cool you off just a bit. And having those shower pouches, it was so nice.
It was.
To crawl up into the tent, and this is getting personal here, but strip down and just wipe your body from stem to stern and then just have this refreshed, non-sticky like experience. If I hadn't had that, it probably would have been a bit of a miserable experience.
Yeah.
Because
it was still warm enough that it was like, don't touch me.
Well, that was the thing.
There is no cuddling here.
We chose that Land Rover knowing and having been warned by the guys at
Yeah.
like Nomad America, once they found out we wanted a Defender, they were like, oh, no, you want to get like
The Hilux.
the Hilux, or you want to get this. And I was like, I understand that you want us to be comfortable, but we've always wanted to drive a Defender.
Yes.
We have a Land Cruiser that we're slowly building behind the scenes, but we want to go and we're like, just kind of
like, please just give it to us. We just kind of want to rough it.
Yeah, just like head first into this Costa
We
Rican
can do anything for
experience,
a little while.
Yeah. And so that's what we did. But man, if it hadn't been for those, and by the way, we are not sponsored by Shower Pouch.
We just really like the product.
But yeah, they have been handy. They've been so freaking handy in situations like that when you either don't have time, it's too cold outside to set up the shower, or it's just freaking hot and you want to wipe down and go to sleep.
Yep.
So yeah, totally lifesavers. Highly recommend those if you're going down there.
Yep.
So well, that brings up the next topic though, is like food. What did we take when it came to food?
When we got down there, we stopped at we didn't go to the Walmart. There's a local Walmart right there next to the Nomad America base. And from there, we actually ended up going to a local grocery mart that basically felt like a Walmart, but just Costa Rican version. And we picked mostly like maybe 3 days worth of breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
Assuming that we would eat out.
So what was your lessons learned when it came to like the food scenario? I mean, I think towards the end, you and I both agreed that when we go back, and we will go back for a much longer duration, we're going to do food a little bit differently, right?
Right. We definitely overshopped in the sense of we did not eat out like we should have. And I don't know if it was just the route we had chosen.
Or route.
That we had chosen. There were restaurants everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And we could have had legit, authentic Costa Rican food.
Yeah.
And yet we were like, oh, no, let's just keep going.
Well, and a little bit cost conscious there as well.
Yes.
Because Costa Rica is very American in their pricing. Like, you're not going down there and paying half what you would for things. You're paying full American prices.
You really are.
Well, in the populated areas. Those less populated areas, you could definitely get quite a good deal on food and stuff. But we would come around a corner in this very remote village area, and here would be this beautiful...
No, what would hit you first was the smell.
Oh, that's true. You would smell it coming first.
Like the panaderias with the fresh baked bread and the sweet breads.
Oh, yeah.
God, that would hit you like a ton of bricks. And then all of a sudden you'd smell something savory, like steak or chicken or shrimp or something like that. I'm hungry now.
I know. You'd round the corner, and these restaurants are open air.
Yes.
And you'd round this corner, and here'd be this one guy in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah, just waiting there.
Just sitting there behind the bar with empty tables scattered all around, waiting for someone to show up.
And they all looked so clean.
They look so good.
Like I would rather eat there than at some McDonald's we've eaten.
We're not talking about a shed here. We're talking about, it was nice. There were like white linens that were tied up to the posts and stuff. And just
your classic kind of like
very
feel.
James Bond-esque.
Oh, man.
You could see James Bond whipping in there in his MG going, shaken, not stirred.
Oh, I thought you were going to try an accent, Sean Connery, but don't worry about it.
No, I can do that.
Okay, let's hear it.
Have you got a lot of little bottles?
Oh, Jesus. That's not James Bond. That wasn't even remotely sexy.
It's the only way I can do an English accent. I'm going to work on that, though. I'm still working on it.
Why?
Because one day I want you to go, babe, you just nailed the English accent.
Okay.
Like, that's my goal in life right now.
Okay.
I want to impress you with my English accent.
Your fake English accent.
Because, by the way, your Australian accent
is terrible.
No, people loved it.
Oh, no.
So part 3 of Costa Rica. Right here. How does it go? Come on. You should do the rest of the podcast as if you are that
I can't. Like, I need to listen to like our Aussie friends so that I can get it right.
Yeah. That was freaking hilarious. People absolutely love that. That's the second time that you've done the
It is
whole
the second time. The
nature
husband washing
show,
the dishes.
nature show kind of thing. Oh, that was so good. That was so.
The first time was really the best time because you didn't know I was doing it.
Oh, I
was
know.
really just goofing off. And you were
Well,
like,
just to see you with a camera to start with back
right.
then.
Back
in those
then,
days,
you were so
yeah.
excited. Mm-hmm. We'll keep working on those accents, okay?
Well, I'm going to have to work on it because our next destination
Well, don't go into that. We're talking about Costa Rica.
might need a bit of accent added into it.
Hmm.
I've actually been working on it. I'm not going to lie. So like when I'm driving by myself,
Oh, boy.
I'm working on the accent for the next international destination.
I need to work on mine because I do not have that accent down.
Yeah, it's very different. Okay, we're not going to I'm sorry. That's a bit of a sneak peek. We're being in too much of a tease now.
Everybody likes a tease.
Just a tease.
So with food being covered and knowing that we totally overshopped and missed out on potentially incredible food, let's segue into how we chose where we stayed. And we used, for the most part, iOverlander, right?
That's true. Yeah.
As our option for choosing where to camp, because many, many people have used it.
Well, that and we didn't really have service on our own phones.
True. They did.
So-
Nomad America does give you phones.
That was an unexpected bonus, was
Yes.
having a phone that was on the local system so you could pull up all those different databases. But for us, we were running the Garmin Overlander.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you've seen our first look at that, it wasn't a stellar review. And so I took it to Costa Rica hoping to redeem it just a bit and test it in a whole nother experience. And let me tell you, it was really handy to have all that preloaded information. So all those iOverlander spots were already in there. I didn't even have to have signal for that. So that was super, super handy.
Right. So with that being said, how'd you feel about our first camp spot?
So we had talked to Andreas back in Nomad America about this epic camp spot on Lake
Arenal, right?
Arial.
No.
Arial.
No, you're missing the N. It's like arenal. Arenal.
Arenal. On Lake Arenal.
That was good. That one was better.
That's what I said.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
No.
I'm still working on my Spanish. The southern accent is actually a hindrance. But
Can you roll your R's? Oh, you can.
okay. Barely.
Caroline can't. At least not yet.
Yeah. So we had this epic camp spot picked out on Lake Arial. I missed it.
You missed it.
Ah, dang it. I apologize to all the Spanish speakers everywhere.
Well, and the Costa Ricans in particular.
And the Costa Ricans specifically.
Yes.
And we got to that first river crossing.
Right.
And we had some pretty torrential downpours on the way there. And man, that water, it was just churning and it was muddy. And Caleb and I went down there with our flashlights in the rain. And in the back of my head, I'm also going, all right, there's crocodiles here. There's crocodiles in this area. You should walk this water to make sure your family's going to be safe. But that water was ripping.
It was ripping.
And
like you could literally see it rising.
And about 3 steps in, I was up to my knees already and couldn't see the next step ahead. And it kept getting deeper and deeper. And I was looking at, so for those of you who are wondering, how can you tell that water has risen? Sarah was already watching where it was hitting the rocks. And I was watching the vegetation. So the vegetation was in the water. The tips of the grass and stuff was laying in the water, which typically means it's above where it normally sits because obviously leaves don't like to grow in
the water. Right.
So not being familiar with the area, having extremely muddy conditions.
It was dark.
It was really dark. It was, and honestly, if it was just me and Caleb, we probably would have, we would have nosed into it. We would have given it a go.
Yeah.
Because I had actually seen some videos of that river crossing, and so I kind of had an idea. But when you have your family and have these rental rigs, it's late. Like, be smart.
Yeah.
And so we backed out of that situation, which is a smart thing to do, and it's what you should do as well. And we made our way backwards, and we checked a couple other Overlander spots, and they were okay, but they weren't great. And so there was one of them that was technically a campground, and we arrive, and it's it's really just the front yard of this guy. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, he was, the whole family was sitting out on the front porch, and we rolled in, and immediately he came over and welcomed us and did not speak a lick of English. Zero. He spoke as much English as we did Spanish.
Right.
So after about 15 minutes of this back and forth and a bit of sign language, we determined how much it actually cost to stay there for the night. And, it amounted to about $3 a person, which was not a big deal because we were just done. It was probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock at that point.
Yeah. But what was it that made you realize that you're like, oh, this will be okay?
When I glanced over and I saw that there was already another couple that had set up camp.
Right.
If there wasn't already someone there, or we had been traveling alone without, Caleb and Clarissa.
Right.
Probably would have thought twice about it.
Okay.
But that gave me a sense of security. Yeah. Yeah. So it worked out. It was a great spot.
Definitely a new experience for us.
It was.
We've done campgrounds. We've done wild camping.
Yeah.
But not campgrounds in somebody's front yard.
Not a complete stranger in a completely different country's front yard.
Right.
That was pretty crazy.
Because even in Canada, they could speak English. Right?
This is true. But, and I made that comment in the video was you wouldn't go up to someone in the U.S.'s door and knock and say, hey, you care if I camp in your backyard? I'm some random stranger. You're some random stranger. Like, you wouldn't do that. But these guys were so welcoming.
Yeah.
They were excited to have us there.
Like, they even came out and, walked around while we were setting up. It was kind of like...
Well, the dude was holding a flashlight for me while I was getting the cover off the tent for the first time. I mean, that was really cool, and he had his kids, mm-hmm. and there was actually another family member that had a house to the other side of us. Mm-hmm. And everybody was just chillax. Like, this is just everyday life. It's just the Americans. They're camping in our yard again, So, no, that was a pretty cool experience.
It really actually was okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. So, the next morning we busted into town, grabbed some breakfast, hoping to get a little taste of Costa Rican flavor, and we got bland American omelets.
Oh, that's right.
It was not spectacular at all.
The coffee was good.
The coffee was excellent, and there was a bit of a communication error there as well. Do you remember what happened?
Yes. So, out of all four of the adults that were there, would you say I was probably the one who communicated the best? You
do know far more Spanish than we do.
So, we had ordered cafe, and I ordered cafe con leche. When they were ordering drinks for the kids, they said milk, and the poor guy brought out coffee.
For everyone.
For everyone.
The look on Caroline's face was like... Now, I will say this.
She would have drank it.
Caroline will pound some coffee, y'all. She is the only kid that I know who will... She will go toe-to-toe and drink cowboy black coffee with me.
Yeah.
She will do that if you give it to her. Now, she's like a squirrel on acid when she's done. But homegirl likes her coffee.
Right.
And that... So we help correct that error.
Yes. I was like, oh, no. No cafe. Leche, por favor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Only leche.
Yes.
So I brought him out some milk, and those waffles looked really tasty.
They looked delish.
But the rest of us, it was kind of okay.
An American breakfast.
It was
bacon, eggs,
it
toast.
Was, and so if you're that type of person who's going to an international country, I guess every country is international besides the U.S. Anyhow, if you want to go to another country and have American food. The good news is in Costa Rica, you can have that experience. You can literally eat American food wherever you want.
Right.
Yeah.
We were not necessarily looking for that.
No, we weren't. No, we weren't. So what did we do after we had our mediocre breakfast?
Our Americanish breakfast?
Our ish, yeah.
We went to hot springs.
Oh, hot springs.
Oh, that sounds so good right now.
Dude, that would be amazing.
But this was no traditional hot springs like we had done before, where it was like built
true.
up pools.
Right.
Fairly man-made-ish.
Sure.
This was hot river.
A hot, flowing freaking river.
Yeah.
That was...
There was nothing springy to me about this.
No. Well, and that's what you get into with the hot springs is they're somewhat stagnant pools. Sometimes you feel like. And
do I really want to get in that?
Yeah. And so to get in there and it's nice, but you do feel just a little grungy when you get out.
Right.
This was not the case. This
Right.
was so cool. And people had kind of built, not really pools, but like kind of like a bit of a dam
Yes.
to make a deeper spot.
Right.
And we kind of claimed our own little spot, and it was
Yeah.
phenomenal.
I mean, like, perfect hot tub
right.
temperature.
Right.
Like, not too cool that you're like, oh, it's warm, but like meh. And not so hot that you're like, couldn't even sit in it. It really was the perfect temperature.
It was in the fact that it was flowing. It just felt fresh. And it felt real.
Well, and it felt whirlpoolish.
Right. And you looking up
you
and
had
there's like
the current, and it, you could get up against the like a rock ledge and have some like current on your shoulders, and it just felt
that's
so
true.
good.
It was like having some jets in a hot
Right,
tub.
that's what I'm trying to say.
It really was.
Yeah.
I want to go back.
I know, me too.
I was disappointed that you couldn't like camp next to it.
Yeah, that would.
I would have stayed there the whole trip. I would have been like, sorry, folks. The rest of this
Costa
video
Rica.
is just going to be us in this pool.
Yeah. But could you imagine how much it probably would have cost if they had camping next to it?
Yeah. And there are a ton of resorts. So for those that, want to like go
Have
in.
like private.
Because that was a little bit of an awkward situation is when we parked for the free hot springs. There was a guy there and he had a reflective vest on. And he offered to watch our vehicles for a small fee.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, what?
What is this small fee?
What's it going to cost me to not get broke into? And so basically it ended up being like $4 American. And I'm like,
okay.
All right, man. Yeah, here you go. Like, I'm fine with that.
We stayed for maybe an hour.
And so me being paranoid, especially after having been broken into
just recently.
I literally carried all of my camera gear on my back.
Yeah.
I was prepared to do that. And I carried it down. I had my raincoat over the top of it and like always kept it in sight. I was very, very, very protective because, when you're a YouTuber like we are, that equipment is your lifeblood. And if someone takes it, they're not just taking away some camera gear. They're literally taking away your livelihood and your income and stuff. And so I protected that stuff, with my life basically. But it worked just fine. Went down there, did our thing, got back. Nothing was disturbed, and carried on. But man, those hot springs were freaking amazing. And by the way, I have heard rumor there are hot rivers in New Mexico and in Colorado.
Okay.
So we're gonna add those to our list next.
All right, let's go look for those.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
So from there, we went back to the water crossing.
And water had dropped, cleared up, and it's pretty much a cakewalk. I mean, you could see in the video. It was a cakewalk. Totally could have done it the night before.
Probably, but we didn't know.
And we did the smart move.
Yep.
We made the smart move. And that road alongside the lake was like out of a storybook. So I don't know if you picked up on it, but like episode 1, or I should say part 1 of the Costa Rica story, I was out of place, y'all. Like it's different when I'm in New Mexico and I'm saying, hey, talking to the camera, come along with us. I'm going to show you New Mexico and what I love about it and these things that are amazing. When I went to Costa Rica, I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
It was a whole new world, a whole new experience. And so I was like a fish out of water trying to film this whole thing because I didn't know what was next.
Right.
I think it gave the video a different flavor that was good, but I definitely was on my heels trying to capture what we were going through those first couple days. But driving alongside the lake was just absolutely gorgeous. And then we finally got to have lunch where we were going to camp that first night.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, phenomenal views. Absolutely phenomenal views. And then we made our way. We had a choice. We could kind of go straight for camp or we could go up into the mountains.
We chose the
We
mountains.
chose the mountains.
And boy, was it probably, honestly, my top 3 favorite thing that we did.
In Costa Rica
Yes.
itself. I would agree. I would say that those mountains probably in my top 5 favorite places. Yeah.
Ever?
I would say that it ranks up there with Adigan Pass. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We didn't even camp up there. We just drove.
I know. I really want to go back. We were driving past these little farms and people were outside and waving at us and it was just so cool. It smelled so fresh and peaceful.
Gosh, it smelled so good. After being out here in New Mexico, an oil-filled country, like you learn to really appreciate good fresh air.
That's true. Yeah. I think that was probably one of my favorite things. I really wish we had spent a bit more time.
I really wish there could have been somewhere there to camp.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I bet if we had asked any of them, can we camp in your field? I bet they would have said yes.
I guarantee that they would. But the camp that we ended up at that night was phenomenal. So I cut this from the video, and I wish I'd left it in there. But basically, I got out of the fender, and I was walking towards the lake, and I kept hearing these sounds, and I was like, oh, I hear chickens. Sounds like we might have dinner. I was being funny. No, that was the monkeys.
That's crazy.
They were like this.
I did not think we were going to see those.
I had my hopes, but I
did not.
I did not think that they would be like at camp kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so to walk up, and then here's like a baby monkey.
Yes.
Like 10 yards from me, just chilling, eating some leaves, scratching his butt. Like he was just completely oblivious. And we basically camped with the monkeys. They slept right above our tent.
Right above our tents.
And when that rain came that night, like downpour, like shaking the whole vehicle, these downpours. And when it would get really bad, the male monkeys would be like, "Roar! I can't stand this anymore." It was hilarious because would basically be like what we sound like if we were sleeping. And it would wake them up and they would like scream because they were tired of being wet in the rain. But
it was surreal.
It was surreal. That whole place right there was just amazing. And all the palm trees.
Right on the lake.
Yeah, those little orange trees and stuff. I think they were basically green oranges that the girls were breaking open and making juice with. But like the classic yellow seats had been ripped out of some public transit vehicle. Like that had a great feel to it.
It felt very like I was like transported to the 1960s.
Right. Absolutely.
Like I'm like, where exactly am I?
Yeah. And then we had the rain showers that were moving in and out, and I got some beautiful time lapses of some rainbows that would form, and then it would rain, and then it would go away. It was just, another one of those places we probably could have spent, a couple, 3 days at as well.
Yeah, if we had like a kayak or something.
Oh, man. Absolutely. So after monkey camp, we had to head west. Yeah. And, we knew we wanted some seafood, like ready for some Pacific Coast seafood.
Yeah.
And that was like the main goal. I mean, camp was kind of secondary at that point.
Right. Like we'll find somewhere to sleep.
And so we made our way to Flamingo.
Mm-hmm. Playa Flamingo.
And Caleb, actually, there was a beach that you could drive to that was like purely made of seashells.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got there, the guys were telling us, no, you can't drive there.
You can't drive over there anymore.
And we definitely respected that, but it's a little bit disappointing. But there was like several little, what'd you call them? I guess they're restaurants right on the beach. Literally, there's seats and a bit of cover right on the sand, and we had dogs and cats just kind of
hanging around,
meandering through the restaurant, waiting on a share of the scraps.
Yep.
But the food, I was a little bit skeptical. I have to admit, I did not know what we were going to end up eating there. But I have to say that was the best shrimp scampi I've ever had in my life.
It was really good.
That butter sauce, Paula Deen couldn't have done any better.
Right?
It was phenomenal. And, they called it lobster. That other thing. It wasn't really a lobster. It was more like a large prawn is what I would compare it to. I'm sure, the Costa Rican folk can correct us on that, but that's kind of the impression that I got. But
it tasted great too.
And there was mahi tuna on that plate as well. And it tastes...
Mahi is not tuna, babe.
Is it not?
No. Mahi is its own type of fish.
Is it?
Yes.
I'm going to Google that right now.
Mahi is a white fish, and tuna is a...
Is mahi tuna?
Mahi is not tuna. It's a whole other type of fish.
No, you're right.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
I said mahi is not a tuna?
No. That's not what you said.
Yeah. Why have I always heard mahi tuna together?
You're trying to change the subject.
I don't know. That's so weird. And the best... Crap, now you coughed.
Sorry.
Totally ruined. We got to start all over.
Sorry.
Welcome, folks.
Oh my gosh. I quit.
And that mahi was just absolutely phenomenal. It almost tasted like, I'm not a fish eater, but it tasted like tenderloin or sirloin. Like it was so
I love
so
mahi.
good.
Yeah. And I love how they had like the fixings on the other plate. Like you had a little salad and you had beans and you had rice and cucumbers and tomatoes
and French fries for the Americans.
Yeah.
Like it was
an
so eclectic plate. Like,
it was.
What we're trying to help here kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then from there we went to the last camp and guys, we stayed 2 nights at that beach camp.
Yeah.
I could have stayed there the rest of my life.
Right. Our past experiences of beach camping has not been my favorite.
Well, I was deathly ill at one of them.
So I was very skeptical as to how this was going to turn out.
Really?
Yes. I was very skeptical as to how this was going to turn out. And I was concerned that it was going to be windy and sandblasting, but it wasn't. Because on their beaches, you are not allowed to drive on the beach.
Right.
You have to stay up at the trees.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it was lovely.
It was. We had shade. We had shelter. The wind wasn't terrible.
It was a nice breeze.
It was a breeze. Yeah. Unfortunately, it would die at night, so it would get a little stifling.
Just a little bit.
But
we're going to bring fans next time.
Yeah, we'll get into a few tips at some point. But yeah, we got to see all kinds of different wildlife. Like the first night, we weren't prepared. And the Cotamundi, while I was patching your knee up, snuck in behind us.
Stole a bag of chips.
A whole full bag of tortilla chips.
Yep.
And when he took off with them, like he grabbed the bottom, so it left this trail
spilled them
of tortilla chips. And so we were like, dang it. Well, he's chowing down. And it wasn't long before the raccoons came out of the woodwork. And these raccoons are like twice the size of American raccoons. Long, lanky.
But they were pretty.
They were beautiful. They were absolutely beautiful. But yeah, we were definitely accidentally feeding the locals in that instance.
And they hung around until we left.
Yeah, they knew that they were like, hey, these guys got it going on over here.
These idiots.
And
are feeding us.
We got to see the sea turtles.
Yes.
The baby sea turtles.
We got so lucky. So what had happened is you and I was going to go for a walk to stretch my legs.
Right.
And you were like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going for a walk. Well, can I come? Sure.
Is that how I sound?
It is how you sound.
No, I'm pretty sure I was like,
hey, baby.
Hey, baby. You're looking pretty fine in that bikini.
Oh,
May I assist you?
Nah.
With my camera?
Nah. So
that's pretty much what I said.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So we went for a walk, And we did not get very far. I was hoping like get some steps in, a little cardio, earn that beer for dinner, right? And we start seeing all these people gather around, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And you were
Around that beautiful trailer, might I add.
Yeah.
Orange, in fact.
It was orange. And so I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And you were like, "Oh, I don't know." And then you said, "Should we go up there just to see?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess we should." And lo and behold, they were digging up baby sea turtles.
And why were they doing that?
They were doing that to protect them. So apparently they graph and map the nests of the sea turtles. And so they watch them for 60-day cycles. And it, I guess, had been a 60-ish day. And they had gone and they were digging it up. And there were live ones. And there were still some in shells. There were still halfy shells. And they were going to take them for the day and then release them that night.
That's pretty crazy.
It was so crazy. We got
beautiful.
so lucky.
That was so beautiful. And, that night, I wish that we had taken a beach walk, because the next morning we got up and 2 more sea turtles had laid eggs. Guys, 10 yards from our tent.
Yeah, their tracks were
They had laid eggs
huge.
10 yards from our tent. And so, yeah, that was just phenomenal. All the different wildlife. We got to see an iguana.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably about 3.5, 4 feet long.
Yeah, big.
And
A crocodile.
oh yeah, there was a crocodile. That was a little bit harrowing.
Literally right beside us.
Literally right beside us. He wasn't huge, but
No.
there was probably some big ones in there. So yeah, if you ever go to Costa Rica, definitely be crocodile aware about where you're going. But we didn't have any issues, but it's just something to keep in mind.
For sure.
Got to hang out in the waters.
And the water, the Pacific Ocean wasn't very cold.
It was a
perfect
nice
temperature.
Right.
To cool you off, but not so cold that it
right.
You only stayed in for a minute and then got out.
Yeah. And then Caleb and I hiked up and over the mountain or the ridge line to the other beach, where we got all those fantastic sunset shots. Just an absolutely gorgeous experience.
Yeah, I'm so jealous of my bum knee.
Yeah. Sarah busted her knee getting the perfect shot.
I did. It wasn't the perfect shot.
It was a good shot.
It was good, but it was
a good shot.
Perfect.
Yeah, you were kind of shaking, and there may have been a few explicitives that were said post-haste.
But it hurt so bad.
I saw. You guys know when you hit that part of your knee, it feels like you're going to die.
And it wasn't like I scraped it, like I slid.
No.
On
it was your full weight.
gravel.
I saw it. Full weight, just
boom.
Boom.
Just took a knee.
I'm surprised you just turned around and ran the camera, though. You did good.
Probably if Caleb and Clarissa weren't with us, I would have just been stayed there and just flagged you down. But because they were with us,
yeah,
I put on my big girl panties.
Yeah.
And dealt with it.
Well, they still heard all those words you let loose.
They did. I didn't think that they would.
Yeah.
But they were like, yeah, we heard some choice language there. I'm like, my bad.
Oh, jeez.
It just hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And for a week or more.
Yeah. Well, you're better now, right?
I'm better now.
Good.
Ish.
Good. Take a knee.
No thanks.
No thanks.
It's still tender to get on my knee.
Ouch.
Yeah. Okay. The beach, anyway.
Oh, so yeah. That whole experience. Okay, so 4 nights and 5 days of Costa Rica is not enough.
No.
Is not enough.
No.
For you to be satisfied.
Yeah, it was such a whirlwind of a trip that it literally just felt like it had just started, yet we had to be done and get the vehicles back by 5 p.m.
And we barely made it back.
Barely.
By the way, beautiful drive back from the beach. Absolutely gorgeous.
4 hours, though.
And, the Waze app that we were using on our local phones and the Garmin app said we had 4-hour drive. It turned into about 6.5
at least
to get back
because of traffic.
When we got so we stopped at the hotel. I basically ran everything inside. And then Caleb and I jumped back in the rigs because we had to have them back by 5 p.m. And we didn't want to keep Nomad America waiting. But we did not know that night was the last night of the local football / soccer team game. And apparently in their culture, what you do when that's happening is you get out in your vehicle and you crank your radio up and you drive
everywhere.
And when your team scores, you honk your horn and everybody yells. It's a very interesting experience. But here we are trying to get back to Nomad America from the hotel. And I remember Caleb was driving that Tundra with the 4-wheel camper, which was a great setup, by the way.
It was.
It had everything you needed. If you need an additional level of security, being in that right there, might be
definitely
the
would have brought that.
It would have brought that for sure because you have everything you need right inside. So basically, I'm in the Land Rover, which is a stick shift. And if anybody's ever drove a Land Rover, that clutch it's not a lightweight.
No.
Not a lightweight clutch at all. And so I told Caleb, I don't know where this place is. My Nomad America phone has died because I couldn't charge it. I'm just going to follow you. He's like, well, you better stick close because this traffic's insane. So I drove half the way there with the bumper of the Land Rover underneath the overhang of that 4-wheel camper. And we got there and got it returned and everything. But wow, that whole Costa Rican experience wasn't on our radar. Never would have thought that we would have the experience that we had in such a short amount of time. And we got to camp in a local's front yard. We
got to camp with monkeys.
We got to camp with monkeys. We got to camp on the beach. We got to see baby sea turtles.
Eat local seafood.
Eat local food. Just the whole, and experience a fairly good taste of the Costa Rican atmosphere, like your pipa frias.
Oh, baby.
The cold Costa Rican coconuts. Oh my gosh.
And mango and papaya.
Oh, the fresh fruit I forgot about.
Yeah.
This podcast could be about 4 hours of us just going, oh, remember this and remember that. But guys, if Costa Rica wasn't on your radar before now,
it should be.
It should be now because it is such an awesome experience. It's so easy. It's so simple. You just fly down, you jump in a Nomad America rig, and you don't have to get a Defender. You don't have to drive a manual.
You can get AC.
The next time we go back, we're going to get a Hilux that has AC and the whole 9 yards. And then maybe even you mix it up, in the middle of it. Maybe you find a resort. Maybe you find a resort on a beach somewhere.
And that wouldn't hurt my feelings.
You get a nice long hot shower. Mix it up however you want. But for the cost of a decent vacation here in the States, you can go and have an international adventure.
Yes.
Through Nomad America in one of their fully outfitted rigs.
Yep. Absolutely.
Highly recommend it. It was absolutely amazing.
Gosh, I want to go back.
Totally changed our lives.
I'm having FOMO.
Well, you don't have to worry about that because guess what?
What?
I have been in contact with Fabio at Nomad America, and he said that he's got a rig waiting for you. We have a Hilux that is waiting for us for 1 to 2 months of adventure.
Dang.
So we will be back.
Yes, we will.
To Costa Rica to truly see it. Like,
Don't
guys.
Go chasing waterfall.
Oh, you're going to break the copyright rule now.
Oh, dang it. I'm
Careful.
so sorry.
Oh my gosh, we just got sued.
That was only 4 words, though.
Okay, well, maybe we're okay. I think it's 5 is when they start suing you. But there's waterfalls. There's volcanoes.
Sloths.
There's sloths. We haven't seen it. Well.
We didn't see a sloth.
I saw a sloth. It was dead on the side of the road. But anyhow, there are so many incredible things to see in Costa Rica. So if it wasn't on your radar before, please put it on your radar now. I highly recommend it.
Yes.
We had an absolute blast.
We did. gosh, and there was so much to do. There were so many resorts.
Oh, yeah.
So even if you didn't want to like Overland, gosh dang it, for your first trip, at least get down there and resort it.
Absolutely. And we've talked about this. Like if you're going to go and, and camp, maybe you go with a friend.
Yeah.
Have a couple people just for that level of security.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of ways to see this world. There are a lot of experiences to be had.
Right.
And I will say this. So here's my takeaway.
All right.
You remember when we crossed the Canadian border that first time?
Yes.
When we left America,
Yeah.
I was a nervous wreck.
You were flop sweating.
Now, to be fair, we did have a shotgun on board.
Right.
And we talked about that because there's a chance that the Canadians can just turn you back for any reason.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to, like you can't say, oh, I signed this form. You have to let me in. Like you have no stance. If that guy goes, get out, you have to get out.
Yep.
So yeah, I was a bit nervous. After our Costa Rican trip, my comfort level for international travel has grown exponentially because I went there, I saw it, and it was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really I can't wait for that next little piece of international adventure. Now, I'll say, guys, there are a lot of you who are all about American travel. Maybe you're just getting started. I understand that. And 80% of our stuff is still going to be American travel. We absolutely love it here.
Yeah.
But I will say that after you've done it for several years, like we have,
mm-hmm.
you eventually go, I wonder what this is like.
Try something
I
different.
Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Mix it up in a controlled environment with a pre-planned route
Yep.
and a pre-packaged
Deal.
Overland rig with someone like Nomad America.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
They were great.
Like hats
so
off.
So wonderful to work with.
Hats off to Andreas. Hats off to Fabio. Thank you guys so much for letting us be a part of the adventure.
Absolutely.
It was so fun.
They made it so easy.
They really, really did. Guys, we could sit here and talk for hours and hours and hours about Costa Rica. And we hope to do it again in the future.
Yes.
When we've returned from our 1 to 2 month adventure again. But tonight, or today, or this morning, or wherever you are in this world, it's time to wrap up this podcast. Campfire is kind of running low now. You hear the crackle and the pop.
Yeah.
Just little low coals kind of burning.
Little nip in the air.
That's right. It's time to shut it down and climb on up in the tent. Call it a night. So, thank you guys for joining us for episode 3 of our Campfire Confessions Lifestyle Overland podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we will catch you on the next one.
Yeah. See you next time.
Safe travels.